I was thinking like a normal human being, a normal pastor, that a traditional pastor that people know, that just go. I know that God gave me a revelation to plant a church, so I started the church. So I was naturally seeing myself as part of that church. I was seeing myself as a pastor of a local church until we became so successful that I was having at that point we were having 15,000 people in our church. After the church has reached 15,000 people, well, I mean, that is success. For me, I was fulfilled. I was feeling fulfilled as a pastor of a local church. But then I noticed that in this country, Ukraine, even though I was a pastor of a 15,000 member church, but the country never, it's like the country is not even aware that I was here. The country was living their life. The country was just going on like as if nothing was happening. I knew I was not touching the soul of the country. I knew and I could sense it that I was not making a lasting impact like I would like to. That the gospel that I'm preaching is not penetrating the culture. I was not changing the culture. I was not having impact. So that is when I began to study and I began to search. I began to search my soul. I began to soul search, and then I began to search the scripture. By searching the scripture, I discovered that what Jesus actually told us to do is in Matthew chapter 28, go ye therefore and make disciples of all nations. Go ye therefore and make disciples of all nations. All nations. Okay, then I discovered that the focus of Jesus is on nations. Then he said, until this gospel of the kingdom is preached as a witness to all nations, it will not come back. So the emphasis of God is always on nations. Why is it that my emphasis has become on church? That is where the change started for me. So it started by the change started by me realizing that what Jesus said or what God said is to focus on nations. Beautiful. So that is why the change started. That is where the change started. So what did that lead to? It led to me saying, okay, so what is nations? So when I then studied what nations meant, I discovered that nations actually, it's not only talking about countries, and it's not just talking about territories. Yes, nations could be in form of territories, but more importantly is that nations are a group of people that speak the same, that have the same interests, common burden, so nations of people. The men could be a nation, women could be a nation, businessman is a nation. So there are many nations in a country. So that's when I discovered what Jesus was talking about. So when Jesus used that word, the word he used in the original Greek is talking about groups of people like that. He's not talking about territories. He's talking about people, including territories too. Then I said, so what are the nations in a country? Then I remember what I studied in sociology. And in sociology, it's a study about society and about people. Yeah. So I went back to research that, and I discovered that, there are so many groups and nations really in any society. Jesus was right. But then how do I make disciples of nations? So I gave an assignment to my team. So we made a list of about 2,500 nations just in our city and our country. Groups of people.
I'm going to come
So
in.
how did that change my teaching? Let me just finish it by saying it changed my teaching from discovering. It is what led me to discover the gospel of the kingdom rather than the gospel of salvation. So when I was a pastor of a local church, I was just getting people saved and making them my members to take to heaven.
Beautiful.
But when I discovered that I was not making an impact, I started studying more. Hello everybody, DSA here. I would like us to spread this word together. Let the gospel of the kingdom conquer the world. We only need you to help us take 5 simple steps. What are these steps? 1, go ahead and like the video, please, if you have not yet done that. Number 2, we need you to subscribe to this channel. Have you yet subscribed? Not yet done it? Go do it now. Number 3, you need to press and click on that bell. You see the bell there? That will give you notification of every video that we do. Then the next thing you need to do, write your comments. Let's know what you think, good or bad. And then of course you have other platforms like Instagram, like Facebook. Share this video on your other platforms. All right? Let's win the world for Christ. Peace.